Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Impacts for the next few days are shown here. We do have a little bit of wind coming into the Great Basin really for the next few days. We're expecting the gusty winds along the Sierra Front today with gusts 25 to 35 miles an hour and fairly low relative humidities. Tomorrow, still looking for those gusty winds across parts of western Nevada and up into southern and southeast Idaho. The winds will be a little bit gustier in Idaho, but the RHs are also up a bit up there. And then those winds will continue into Friday in eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. And then to some extent right along the Sierra Front. We do have some isolated storms over portions of far western Idaho and then western Wyoming today, and a little bit better chance of some storms over the central Idaho mountains on Thursday. Yesterday was a quiet day for storms, just a few isolated storms over mainly eastern Nevada and western Wyoming. Past 24 hours of fire activity showed 9 new fires for 128 acres. Most of those acres came on this fire just outside of Vegas. Large fire growth was over 3,000 acres on our Forsyth and France Canyon fires with some burnout operations going on. Observed precipitation for the past 7 days shown here on the left. Again, just highlighting the precip we had last weekend in the mountains of central Idaho. In the past 10 days, percent of normal, just showing the extreme dry conditions over Nevada and Utah with no precipitation down there. Fire danger conditions are lower across the north and higher across Utah. The values are on an upward trend and will continue on that upward trend. In fact, a pretty steep upward trend as we head into the weekend with some pretty hot conditions coming. A closer look at a few areas here along the Sierra Front where we do have the high risk for today for some breezy conditions. Show those values right around the historical maximums. Above average, just below the 80th percentile for the time of year. And then southern Nevada desert, where we had that fire yesterday, also showing those values above average, right around between the 80th and the 90th percentile. Smoke impacts for today and tomorrow are shown here. Again, smoke from the fires across southern Utah will continue to waft into eastern Utah. And then tomorrow we'll see it remaining a little more concentrated over the south. This morning's satellite imagery showing that weak area of low pressure traversing the Great Basin today, leading to a little bit of cloud cover here and there, and then we'll see some breezy winds pick up over western Nevada today ahead of a little trough over the Pacific Northwest. Temperatures are still on the cooler side today because of this little trough moving through. So again, just that weak trough moving across the Great Basin today, and then some winds across along the Sierra Front ahead of this next little weak trough over the Pacific Northwest. Again, gusts in that 25 to maybe 35 mile an hour range along the Sierra Front. Minimum relative humidities are decreasing back down towards the single digits. On Thursday, still a little bit of troughiness over the Pacific Northwest will increase winds across the north. Once again, no high risk for tomorrow as the winds do lighten up a little bit along the Sierra Front, although we'll still see some breezy winds or stronger winds even over eastern Idaho. Conditions aren't quite as critical there, so no high risk has been issued. Again, those winds will be strongest over the east central Idaho mountains with gusts up to 25 to 35 miles an hour. And then we'll also see some isolated storms over the central Idaho mountains possible on Thursday. On Friday, generally more of the same as expected. Still some breezy conditions across the north with that trough over the Pacific Northwest, Northern Rockies. Warming and drying continues further south over Utah and Nevada. No high risk. So again, some breezier winds continuing over eastern Idaho, western Wyoming. Maximum temperatures will start to increase back up into the low to mid 90s by Friday. 3-day precip totals showed not much in the way of any precipitation, maybe just the best chance coming on Thursday to the northern mountains of central Idaho. On Saturday, the ridge begins to build into the western U.S. for rapidly increasing temperatures across the area, lighter winds as well. That ridge continues to build into Sunday. We do rapidly increase in our temperatures back up into the mid or the upper 90s and maybe even hitting 100 degrees in some of our Northern Valley locations as we head into the first of the week. On Monday, the ridge still sticking around as well. But as we get into the first part of next week, we could also begin to see a little bit of precipitation or a little bit of moisture anyway coming into the Great Basin This is Tuesday, starting to see some southerly moisture up into the Great Basin. There's a kind of a trough moving into the Pacific Northwest, which will enhance any thunderstorm development with a little bit of moisture moving in. So this is probably going to be, we will be entering a critical fire weather period starting early to midweek next week with some lightning coming back into the Great Basin, or entering the Great Basin after not having some for quite a while. And our fuels are very critical right now. So expecting an increase in initial attack early to midweek next week. And the extended or the 7-day precip totals here just showing a little bit of that increase in moisture and some light precipitation coming to Utah late in the period. So this is like really that Monday, Tuesday time frame, light precipitation, but we're concerned about that increase in lightning activity. Then the extended forecast for July 2nd through the 8th, keeping temperatures very warm across the area, especially over the north. And then we're looking at these precipitation trends showing above normal chances for precipitation heading into that same time period with the monsoon starting to ramp up, increasing thunderstorms with some moisture and some light precipitation. So definitely a changing weather pattern on our doorstep. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.